a little while. And so I'm going to make some floors here, starting on my lowest level, which is obviously the ground floor in this case. I've got the one open with the image. Probably better here to go to the ground floor that I have without the image showing, just because it'll make it easier to pick the walls. And creating floors in Revit is pretty straightforward. You have the floor tool on the architecture tab, and if you click on the little down arrow there, you get some different options. I'm going to use the first one, floor architectural, or you can just click on the floor button, it will do the same thing. And then really the only thing to watch out for when you're creating something like a floor is the fact that it takes you into sketch mode. And you can tell everything here is greyed out, and also you'll see a tick and a cross up on the ribbon, which will remind you you're in sketch mode, and so that means you can't modify or even select other objects. Here it's letting me choose the wall, but that's to create part of my floor. And so I can only work with my floor sketch until I either cancel with the cross or tick to complete my floor. And it makes life easier because it means you just need to then focus on drawing the 2D shape that you want your floor to follow. And so you'll see next to the tick and the cross you have the boundary line option selected, or it should be selected. If it goes off it, you can always just click on that again. And then you have the shapes you can use to make your floor outline. It'll begin on pick walls, which is a really good option actually. So that last button that looks like a wall with a little arrow pointing towards it will let you pick any wall in your space. And so I'll begin by doing that. I'm just going to click onto a wall that I've made, and it's going to select the edge of that wall. So here it's placed the edge of my floor onto the outer edge of the wall there. So that's the line of the floor. Don't worry about these extra lines that come up, that's just on the first edge that you pick. And so now if I go around the outside, notice I'm choosing closer to the outside than the inside, because your lowest floor should sit under the walls. So I want the floor here to go all the way to the outside of those walls, so that it sits underneath the walls rather than on the inside edge. And that's it. I've made a very simple floor. It's just a rectangular shape, but I've made it entirely by clicking onto the walls that I've already made. So tick to finish. We know the height of this floor because I've made it in the ground floor plan. If I go to my 3D view, now I can see there's a base underneath these walls. I've got shadows turned on, so I'll turn those off, and then I'll just go to shaded to make it a bit clearer what we're looking at there. So you can see again the floor on the lowest level, and the 3D views can be good if you just want to select the floor. So because I can see the edge of the floor there fairly clearly, that's an easy place to select it. If I just click into empty space and go into my ground floor plan, there are ways of selecting the floor here, but it's not as easy because we have the wall edge, so the outer edge of that wall is exactly in line with the floor. So we can't really see the edge of the floor there. If we go to a shaded view, we'll still see the floor shaded inside those walls, but again it's not easy to select those or the edge of that floor. So do you remember the option key you can use to get different selections in Revit? Yeah. Tab, exactly, that's right. So tab's your main option key, and if you forget these things, just have a look on the status bar and it'll remind you, and you remember that in no time. So here it tells me click to select, tab for alternates down here. And so I'll use tab just by moving my cursor to the edge of the wall where I know the floor is as well underneath. Then I'll press tab. First time it just gives me a chain of those 4 walls. I don't want that. So tab again. And now it's a little bit hard to see on the screen. You can probably just see it, but if you look down on the status bar where I just showed you, it tells me floor and then floor generic 150, which is the kind of floor it is. So once I see that, I can click to select and select the floor in the floor plan. Alright, so I want to change this floor now. And just to make it clearer though, how you can select that, I could have done it in the 3D view where it's easier to select. I can still select this floor in the 3D view and change back to the ground floor plan, and it'll keep that floor selected. So you can switch to other views to make things easier to select. The section would be another one. So in the section view there, again, we can see the floor really clearly underneath the walls there. So as you can see with Revit, it's good to keep switching views to have a look at objects in different ways, and also to see different objects to make them easier to select. So whichever way you do it, once you've selected that floor, you can use Edit Boundary to go back to the sketch that you made initially. And I can keep adding to that or modifying it. So I may want some voids in this floor. If we look at now the one with the image, I might decide, well, I want these blue areas to be ponds, so I'll use the rectangle tool. Instead of, I don't want to use pick walls here, I want to just draw the shapes that I want. So using any of these tools, the line tool's really useful as well, but I'll use rectangle, and I'm just going to click a couple of points. So I'll click one. No, actually I'll do this one because there are no walls there. So I'll just click a point in the corner there, roughly, and then again in the corner of the blue rectangle again. So I've made a new rectangle. We go to the original plan, have a rectangle within the outer boundary of that floor. So what does Revit do with that? It makes that into a hole. If we look in the 3D view, you can see that's made a simple void through that floor. So you can easily cut shapes out of your floors simply by drawing extra shapes within the boundary. So now I'll make some new floors. If I'm wanting to put a floor onto my upper floor level, I'll switch to that floor plan first. So O1 level 1 FL is my upper level 1 floor level. And I'll just click on the floor button to start making a new floor. So that's basically told Revit the height I want this floor to be at, using those levels. But now I want to trace the image again. So not a problem. I'm in sketch mode, remember, so I can only work on the floor that I've started. And so it's fine to switch back to the view that has the image, and okay, so that's not showing the image. There's a pretty obvious reason. You'll realise once you use Revit for a little while. It's because of the floor I just created. So I've just made a floor, remember, on the ground floor, and it's covering my image. We can see the blue in the area with the hole. If I change it to wireframe down the bottom here, then I can see the whole thing again. So I might want, or let's say the red rectangles to be platforms up at my on my upper level. So again, just using the rectangle tool, I'll do it down here. I'll just trace over again, trace over that one, and again, tick to finish. Now, because I'm in the ground floor, it's disappeared because it's on the level above. It's still there, but it's just that I finished that floor while I was in that floor plan. Not a problem. I can switch back to level 1 and see the floor there in the 3D view. We can see now we've got this floating floor, and we know the height of that. So I might delete that wall. And so maybe just to take that a bit further, if I go back to that same floor level, and again just make a new floor, going back to the ground floor with the image, I might want these black areas to be essentially solid areas with walls around them. So I can still use the rectangle tool to create my floor, tick to finish, and then I'll make some walls going to the level above. So I want to create some walls now that follow this floor. I'll delete these lower walls, I don't want those in the way anymore. Okay, so I just want to draw a wall that follows the edge of these floors. So with the wall tool, I'll set the, remember I'm starting on level 1, so I'm on the upper level. I'm going to set the height to my ceiling level for level 1. And I'll just draw over the edge of this floor by snapping to the endpoint there. And then if the wall goes to the wrong side, you can see there it's going over the floor. I want it to go to the right. A really good option key here is space. And again, if you forget, have a look on the status bar, it'll tell you space flips orientation. So space there, just flips the wall to the other side. And I'll take it up to the edge above. And maybe I'll just do another one again along this edge. That one's gone to the right side, so that's okay. And maybe I'll just take it to here for now. So, back into the 3D view. And you can see it's drawn those walls alongside this floor. But I want, especially this wall, and probably, well, yeah, this one as well for now, I want them both to start from the lower level. So just remembering what I showed you before with the levels, you can select one of those walls and change the top constraint if you want to change the height. So that's going to the highest level, and that's fine. And then the base constraint sets the bottom of the wall. So you can select that and change it to ground floor, and that'll take it down from the level below now. I'll do the same with this wall. And now if I go back to the ground floor plan, I can see those two walls because they've been brought down to this level. So hopefully they'll give you enough to start setting up things on different levels. And even just with simple spaces like this, you'd be surprised how interesting you can make it just by putting some different materials on and having some different, few different elements, basic fixtures and things like that. So make sure you look at a lot of the conceptual artists or the people who do installations and things like that, who are doing a lot of work with different ideas with interiors. And there's one touring at the moment, I've forgotten his name, but Oliver Ellison is one of the famous ones that you might have heard of or looked at. If anyone. Yeah. Oh yeah, he does amazing things. I might give you a PowerPoint I've got of his actually, and so I'll dig that out in a moment for you. But anyhow, that should give you plenty to start just coming up with a basic set of walls and floors to begin your modelling concept.